Contact 2, February 3, 1975 at 10:10 p.m.
You have moved myself into astonishment according to my first try, because your acceptance for my thoughts was much greater than we had calculated this. Characteristically, we should already long be used to surprises with you, while you have shown always again in the course of the years that you think very wide. Also, if your trains of thoughts are oft very extreme, yet they hit the core of the matter and they find solutions for problems which remains close to your contemporaries. Characteristically, you have moved myself into wonderment by my first visit for the reason that you have silenced and have not questioned, as I gave the various clarifications to you. Thereby I think on the clarifications about space, time, and null time. At least I thought here that you would have had a question. Then, however, I allowed myself to search into your thought, and I found that you really had no question, while you understood my interpretation, even more than I said to you. Even for myself is your way of thinking tremendous and phenomenal in regard to the spiritual and material directions, which I have detected by no earthman yet. They were all hitherto only knowing and cogitative in one or in maximum of 3 directions, while you are able to think each but in all discretional forms. You are inferior to us hardly really in anything, if one desists from the knowledge which you name book knowledge or school knowledge. Like you even always say, this type of knowledge, however, is not of very great significance, rather only the spiritual knowledge and the spiritual wisdom are crucial, like you have already long recognized. And you are truly great in your knowledge, wherein you are not inferior to us, completely in the contrary.
You bring myself into embarrassment, Simusa. Everything seemed to be aimed only upon praise and adulation by you. I don't like that, because it seems primitive to me. Leave that thus, please.
You are very open, like we are used to it from you. Yet I want not to praise yourself, and I want not to adulate you, because also we are long beyond these things. I make only clear conclusions, which correspond to actualities, plainly so, like you even make it as you choose.
Then I am reassured and happy.
You do not think that I'm primitive anymore?
Surely not, yet why do you not search then in my thoughts about that? Or shall I perhaps pardon myself?
I believe you yet, and I did not expect a pardon from you. Pardons are only empty words in any case, and they represent the true disposition rarely. On the other side, I sense your words not as offensive, while I know quite exactly that you say only that which you sense or feel. For your fellow men your words may affect offensively, yet only for the reason, while they do not know and thus are not able to recognize, that you speak exactly according to your feelings, which become carried out from your knowledge and wisdom. Therefore many must also seem very primitive to you and even dumb. Consider, however, always, that the bulk of your fellow men are not able to spiritually think and are not able to act in this form, while they have never learned this and lie trapped still too much in the meshworks of pure human drives, wishes, and hopes and so on. If I want to search in your thoughts, then I do that only then, if it seems important to me. It is not the type and desire of us, simply to invade into the thoughts of others, if this is really not important. Furthermore, we all have no right to penetrate into the personal mysteries of others. If one penetrates namely into the thoughts of others, then the dangers always exists that one receives more from that than was intrinsically foreseen. If we would have also disrespected this directive, then we would have known even the last of all your trains of thoughts, and we would have to interpret mysteries, and you wouldn't have been able to move ourselves into astonishment and wonderment always and always again.
What is it then all about with that, if so-called UFO contactees claim that their star friends would have conducted only telepathic communication amongst even themselves?
Surely there are those creations which only communicate telepathically. Their communication was however telepathic from origin, or they allowed their language to wither quite simply. Of our knowledge, the terrestrial space was however never accessed by V-Sin, whose mediums of communication were purely telepathic. On the other side is to consider that these so-called UFO contactees, who claim this, with sureness have never stood in connection with men or other V-Sin from space. They are simply deceivers and charlatans.
I have made me thoughts thereover, that the great mass of these so-named UFO contactees shall only be deceivers and charlatans. Upon which actualities does this uphold your assertion?
Upon pure actualities, which are verified every time. All the would like to be great contactees allude to that we would have to stand in a mission to God and to the Christian religion. A malicious lie, which lacks any truth.
How would it then relate with other contactees?
Despite the many deceivers and charlatans, there are many who really had contact with us, or who still have contact with us. Innumerable many among them, however, have never had more than only sight contact with us. Contactees thus, who only saw our spaceships from afar, and also oft were able to photograph. Only very few, however, had personal contact with us, and that is also today still so. The majority of them wrapped themselves each but in still silence, while they feared themselves faced with their fellow men. Already oft are also raised foreign V-Sin intruded upon Hall's earth, and they have undertaken their expeditions here. They gathered various things, which could be useful to their investigations. And that will also always occur again, that such V-Sin come and conduct their studies. They come from the most various worlds and systems. Oft are they still new in the area of space travel and implement because of the expansion of their knowledge and of their proficiency. Thereby it can then also occur that they unwantingly step into contact with the Earthmen, around then however never to come again. They lusted not after might and similar things, because they are joyed that they finally have rest and order upon their own worlds. It can also occur by them that they disempower some Earthmen here and there, bring them into their spaceships, and they investigate very exactly with their apparatuses and pinpoint their anatomy most exactly. Yet these men let them go again without exception, because they do not want to do anything bad. They are oft humanly V-Sin as the Earthmen. Sadly, however, also plain barbaric V-Sin navigate the space, and they come here and there to the Earth. Many among them are might greedy and bad. It can occur by them that they rob and abduct Earthmen, also other men from other planets of other systems, and they bring them upon their home planets. There these poor creatures then lead a life as show objects and experiment objects. The Earthmen and all other inhabitants of other worlds must beware before these creatures, because they exercise oft the worst gavolt in their malignity. Feelings and other human traits and emotions are oft foreign to them, so a life means nothing of value to them.
That is all very interesting, Simyaza, yet I have anyhow already long known that.
Surely, I know, because you think very wide.
Good, good, say to me now please once. You spoke already manifold of deceivers and charlatans, who have stepped into the public with their fantastic UFO contact stories, and do it still furthermore. Can you name some names to me?
Surely, yet you know the majority of them according to name.
Despite. Name to me still at least some.
Like you want. With which shall I begin?
Top priority would have to interest myself. What is the deal with Kenneth Arnold? Go I right, that he was no deceiver?
Surely, this man was no deceiver, because he has actually seen our spaceships. Also many other pilots have encountered our ships, or however foreign ships. The greatest deceiver, however, was the man who named himself Carl Michalek. And the man stood in no way behind him, who acquired the world-renowned name George Adamski. Also his so-named fellow workers or friends fall under the same sector. That mean those which supposedly had contact with us together with him. Further names are less known. They have, however, despite a certain significance, while they are deceivers: Hiroshi Tsukamoto, Gerald Baker, R.O. Schmidt, C.A. Anderson, Angelucci, and many, many others.
Thanks, that suffices already. Are those really all deceivers?
Surely, and you know that so exact like I.
Already good. Yet how shall one verify that they are deceivers?
We could have verified it, yet on your side shall you not try that, because only very hard would the earthmen allow themselves to be convinced of the truth. The terms of his consciousness understanding is too narrow for that purpose. One day he must find the truth himself, and only then will he take them up as knowledge in himself. At the present time will by the all fewest ones recognize the truth and want to spread the truth, who allowed themselves to be fooled by the deceivers and charlatans decades long and offered million amounts for the spreading of the stories of lies and books of lies. For them a world would have to collapse, while they recognize themselves as deceived, and they must have to blame themselves before the public.
That is enlightening, yet how shall I then go against that? One will not believe me, if I reveal the truth.
Have no concerns, because you belong to a circle of thinking men, who will help you. I will name the names to you, which are important for yourself, yet hold these for yourself, and name them never. It followed 7 names and exact addresses.
Do these names suffice?
They suffice, and now is my time up for this time. So I leave yourself then and transmit to you, like already usual, my thoughts once again at a later point in time, with which you can write them down.